Good morning. Welcome to the Naples Money Managers News You Can use on May 3rd. Spring flowers out there and it's pretty darn hot. Marcus Bickle is going to join us today. Hopefully he's going to walk right over right now. And we're going to talk about two things. First thing we're going to talk about is, can the government steal your money? And we're going to finish up on Bitcoin. We had a really long piece last time on it, but there's so much discussion about it. I think we just had to really address it.
Oh, absolutely.
We get calls on it every day.
Oh, yeah, every day.
Every day. Okay. So let me just start, because I can make this quick. Can the government take your money? And there was these commercials out there for people saying, you know, they're going to take your IRAs and your 401ks and all this kinds of stuff. And those are people trying to scare you into buying whatever they're selling. Let's just be blunt about that. Can it happen? I guess it could. It's highly unlikely. First of all, there's a lot of other ways the government can take our money.
Certainly.
Right? They can raise our taxes in numerous different ways, cut out loopholes. So yes, they can take our money. And in fact, we give them our money all the way through the month of June anyway. So maybe they want a little more. But can they go in and confiscate your IRAs and take it all away? They would have to have both the houses, the Congress and Senate, pass that. Plus they would also then have to go through the Supreme Court. And I know people are worried that they're trying to stack the Supreme Court. But think about this. If this was done, this would be political suicide.
Well, I think it needs to be stressed that I'm fairly certain it would require an amendment to the Constitution, because the government taking your money would be a direct violation of the Fourth Amendment, which is against illegal search and seizure.
Unless it's an act of war.
I'm not sure you can. Can you suspend the Constitution? You
Well,
can suspend habeas
act
corpus.
of war, and I actually went through this, and maybe this is a whole nother
No,
thing.
absolutely.
I
It's
actually went
interesting
through
stuff.
it from the 1600s all the way through to current, and what the laws are on it. But an act of war could be like the war on drugs. That was classified as a war. It could have been the war on COVID.
Yeah, it was a war on terror.
It could be. So could it be? Yes. It would be absolute political suicide. And I believe it was Ireland that tried it decades ago, or maybe a century ago. No, decades ago. And it failed miserably. So I would say don't worry about it. Don't buy whatever those guys are selling.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that.
Okay. And if you want, you can always call us and talk to us about that. Marcus, I want to finish up our Bitcoin conversation.
Yeah.
Because I still get a little confused too. There's how many different Bitcoins out there? 1,500 or?
Oh, probably more every day.
So this gets confusing. They're not Bitcoins. They're cryptocurrencies. Remember, it's like having numerous airlines. And one airline is called Delta or whatever it happens to be called. But there are numerous other ones. Cryptocurrencies are the same. Bitcoin is the one that has the most exposure. And then today was
Ethereum.
Ethereum is almost breaking 3,000.
Yeah, which is exciting. But we talked about this a little bit earlier this morning, and we kind of related cryptocurrencies to actual currencies.
Right.
You could almost think of Bitcoin being the big one that everyone knows as the US dollar.
That's right. This is just for example.
Yeah, just for example, it's not the US dollar. It's not related to the US dollar. There's nothing involved with the US dollar, much to the United States government's chagrin. But for right now, yes, for this analogy, it is the US dollar. It's the most widely known, the most widely used, just like the US dollar is the world's reserve currency.
And the most sought after.
And the most sought after, absolutely, retains the most value. But there are obviously thousands of other currencies out there based on how many other countries there's.
So if you were to liken it to, if you felt like the pound, the British pound, was going to be a better value than the dollar, you might sell your dollars and buy pounds. Right?
Yeah, that's not something we do here, but that is something investors do all the time. They trade currencies.
So Bitcoin there's a Bitcoin for diamonds, there's a Bitcoin for treasuries, there's a Bitcoin for art, there's a Bitcoin. So if you were to take art and diamonds and treasuries and liken them to different countries and said, well, where do I think my best buy is? Where am I going to have the most use for it personally if I'm going to buy and sell with it? Where am I going to make the most money on it if I'm buying it as an investment? You can do both of those things with all currencies and countries. You can buy and sell with it, or you can buy it for an investment,
Absolutely.
right? Same thing with these various different types of Bitcoins. So if the strongest one happens to, all these various types of cryptocurrencies. So if the strongest one right now happens to be Bitcoin, coming up right now is Ethereum, and behind that several others, you might want to look at those as an investment. Now remember, you can't go out and buy the stock. You have to go out and buy the actual Bitcoin.
Yeah, it is a literal currency for that case. So you would need to own, if you were buying, Italian lira, which I guess doesn't exist anymore because of the euro, but if you were buying Italian lira, you would have to have like a pile of lira somewhere or keep it in an Italian bank. Whereas the same thing with a cryptocurrency, you would have to either have your digital wallet, which is a whole nother discussion, or keep it at a digital bank like Coinbase.
Which
we talked about.
Went public a couple of weeks ago. So there's a way to participate in that. The other piece that seems to be confusing is the blockchain. And I in my mind thought there was one big blockchain, but that's not the case. Each different cryptocurrency has its own blockchain, and their own transactions go in that block. So if it's art going in that block, or digital art, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it's diamonds, I don't know how you get a digital diamond either, but I want some of them.
Well, it's a good discussion because the blockchains they're engineered for whatever they're designed to do. So a good example would be there's one called Ripple,
right?
XRP, which was their blockchain was optimized for banking. Again, I couldn't tell you exactly how that works. I'm not a coding engineer, but it was designed to mirror and make easier banking transactions so that this cryptocurrency could be used for interbank loans like LIBOR rates.
So what these blocks do is there's these little miners, they call them. I call them, they're security and miners. They kind of do two things at one time. They want to make sure that the transactions that go in there stay secure and that are legitimate. And once one block fills up, and they fill up a block with all these secures, they add another chain. And every time they add another chain to this blockchain, it gets a little more difficult to acquire that particular cryptocurrency. And when something gets more difficult to acquire, because now it's got to go through this long chain to come out the other end, then it becomes more valuable. So hopefully this little tiny bit would help you understand that cryptocurrencies are like currencies of each and every country.
And if you refer to our previous episode, we do go a little bit more into the actual mechanics of the blockchain and the mining, which was interesting in our longer episode from last week. Also, kind of to your point about cryptocurrencies acting like currencies, and something I think we've mentioned throughout these episodes is that various countries are beginning to move even further and further in the direction of actually adopting that. To the point,
as opposed to their own currency.
As opposed to their own currencies, and even more so, China, obviously one of the largest countries on the planet, has been heavily pushing their own Chinese cryptocurrency, and they want people to use it to the point that it's very heavily used inside of the large cities. And the Chinese government likes that because the blockchain shows all the transactions.
So
everything can be tracked.
It's trackable.
Mm-hmm.
It's trackable, and that's a good thing. So that's where I think even when people worry about criminals using it, they too can be tracked.
Yeah, theoretically, if everyone used cryptocurrencies, financial crime would be essentially impossible. Because every transaction would be accounted for.
So we're not sure if that helped, but as you know, we have 3 animated videos that explain what Bitcoin is, but what a cryptocurrency is, how it can be used, and is it safe? What are the dangers of it? We really didn't get into too much of the mechanics, although you'll see a little miner in there and stuff, and maybe that will help. Key thing is there's no stock to buy a cryptocurrency. Right? There's stock in the blockchain.
Right.
There is stock in the holding company, the Coinbase.
Yep. The banks, so to speak.
But there is no. So if you want some, you either have to buy a fund or something that has a participation in one of those 2 things we just talked about.
Yes, and there are more of those coming out every day. Those kind of trusts that you can participate in without owning the actual.
And what do they do if they just want to go buy an actual Bitcoin?
The easiest I have found is through Coinbase, the actual Coinbase website. Those are both a bank and a marketplace for you to purchase cryptocurrencies. And in other places, you might actually even see a Bitcoin ATM where you can literally put money into an ATM and it'll register with your digital wallet. There's actually one by my house.
Wow,
So
that's pretty cool. So that's how you actually buy a cryptocurrency of any kind. Just be careful.
Yes.
If you lose your wallet, if you lose your password, if somebody takes it, you can never ever recover it.
It's the same as losing your literal wallet in real life. It's gone.
Yeah, except it's only if you had cash in it.
Yeah, if you have cash, exactly.
Right. Okay, I hope this was helpful today. Remember, we talked a little bit about, can the government take your money? And we said there's all kinds of ways, but I don't think they're coming in to steal your 401k and your IRA. And
Absolutely not.
the last piece on Bitcoin. But please check out our website. It's naplesmoneymanagers.com. If you have any calls or questions, just give Marcus a call or give me a call, and we'll be happy to chat with you. Have a great day. Remember, money matters, but most of all, and most importantly, you guys matter.
Thank you so much, and remember to subscribe to our channel.
Yes, please.